Alrighty, guys. So, like I told you last week, we are going to be focusing on data this week. So, you see this word, and there's two ways to say it. You could say data, or you can say data. Miss Urrutia will be using the word data. Some people say it the other way, and it's okay. Both ways are correct. It just depends on who you are or where you're from. So, data is a collection of facts. So, it can be numbers, it can be words, it can be measurements. It can be an observation, or it could even be a description of something. So when we look at data, we can use multiple ways to show data. So one of the ways that we talked about was a bar graph. So a bar graph has a x-axis and has a y-axis. This is where your scale would be, and this is the category. So let's say our bar graph look like this. That's just a very simple example of a bar graph. Another way that we show data is a frequency table. So it's kind of like when we do voting in class. I could say, what's your favorite letter? X, Y, and Z. And then however many students vote is however many tallies I would put. So that's a frequency table. Something that is similar to a frequency table is a dot plot. So in a dot plot, we're going to be using dots. And so same concept, except for the categories are on the bottom, and then you just have dots. So here we have 5. So let me do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y, 1, 2, Z, 1, 2, 3. The only thing is that not every time are the dots going to equal one person. Sometimes the dot can mean 2 people, or 3 people, or 4 people. That's why you always have to check and make sure that you have a key on a graph that you are making. Another one, so we have a bar graph, we have a frequency table, we have a dot plot. Another graph is the pictograph. So a pictograph is when you use pictures instead of dots or tally marks. So let's say we were talking about your favorite letter, and each body is one person. So I'm using the picture of students to show students. So there's lots and lots of ways that you can show data. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to show an example from the data that we took or we did as a class. So some of you went back and took the quiz again because right now my sample size is 19. So that means that this survey was taken 19 times. So I do not have 19 students in my class. I have 13 students in my class. And I know for a fact only 11 of them did this survey. So I know that 8 of you did it 2 times. Anyways, we're just going to keep going. So I want us to focus on bar graphs for today. So a bar graph always needs a title, okay? So we're going to be focusing on the Pokemon question, the one that we've already talked about. So remember, you had 4 choices. We had Pikachu, we had Bulbasaur, we had Charmander, and we had Squirtle. So I'm just going to write the data over here. So for Pikachu, 10 of you said you liked Pikachu. For Bulbasaur, 0 students chose Bulbasaur. Charmander, 5 students chose Charmander. And then 4 students chose Squirtle. So if we're talking about Pokemon, what is your favorite Pokemon? What could the title be? It could be your favorite Pokemon. Oh my gosh, you guys are so smart. The title is going to be Favorite Pokemon. So notice, capital letter, capital letter. It is a title. So you have to have the title capitalized. So now we're going to go ahead and make our bar graph. So you could put Pokemon on this side or on the bottom. It's up to you. I am going to put the Pokemon on the bottom because it's just going to make my life easier. And I am just going to be putting P for Pikachu, B for Bulbasaur, C for Charmander, and S for Squirtle. Okay, so I am doing this. Normally you would write out the whole name, but I don't have very much space. Then I need to think about my scale. So this needs a title too. So these right here, the title for here would go here normally, but I'm going to write it on the side, so I'm going to draw an arrow. The title for this would be the different kinds of Pokemon. So I would put types of Pokemon. Okay, and then this is telling me how many. So I'm going to put, I have to have a scale. So my biggest number that we had was 10, and the smallest number was 4. So we could count by twos. And we could, so you always start at 0, so this is always 0. And then I can count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Well, who is voting? Students. So here it would be number of students. Okay? So on a bar graph, what you do, what I like to do, is I go right up to, so let me use the actual colors because that would be nice. So I'm going to take Pikachu, for example. Pikachu had 10. So I'm going to go right up to 10, and here, because this is Pikachu, and I'm going to go all the way down. Here's Pikachu. So then I need to color my bar in. And that shows me how many students chose Pikachu. Now Bulbasaur did not have any, so I'm going to just skip him. Then we're going to go to Charmander, and I'm going to use a little orange because Charmander is red, but he's more orange too. So it's a 5. I don't see a 5 here, but I know by counting that it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my Charmander has to go right in between these two lines. Right there. And there's my Charmander. And then for Squirtle, I'm going to be using blue. And for Squirtle, we had 4 students pick Squirtle. So I'm going to go right on the 4, come over here, draw that, and then I'm going to color that in. So right here, this is how you make a bar graph. So I want to reiterate every part of the bar graph that you have to have. So every graph, no matter what kind of graph you have, has to have a title. Okay, so my title here was favorite Pokemon. Capital F, capital P, and the rest of it is lowercase. Then you have to have an x-axis and a y-axis, which means you have to have something that you're measuring and the measurement. So we measured the types of Pokemon that students liked. So this bottom one was types of Pokemon, and this side one was the number of students. Considering we are using data from a survey that we did as a class, one of your axes will always say number of students, okay? And then the other one will be just what we're measuring. So what your goal for today is, you are going to make your own bar graph from the data that I'm going to put under this video. So you are going to be required to take a picture of your bar graph and submit it on Blend. You would do it the same way that you would do a video, except for you just take a picture instead of a video. If you can't figure out how to do a picture, but you know how to do a video, just do a video and explain it. I need you guys each to go and do this because this is the only way I'm going to know if you understand the concept. Okay, what happens is, since we're not in school and this is something new that we haven't done before, I need you to really pay attention to this video. If you need to, watch it again. You can watch it as many times as you want. I just really need you to understand that every part of a bar graph that you need. So when you make your own, you make it correctly. Okay? All right, it's your turn.